Bang! Bang, how are you doing, buddy? Thank you very much. I can't wait to look at these shots. Okay, what do we got here? Of course, and Bang had asked, what can you shoot? What are I will give more detailed descriptions on what the challenge is, what the rules are. Really, there are no rules. If I give you a theme and I say that here's the theme, make of it what you will. But he had asked, can we shoot people? If they're in your house, go for it. I said don't cheat and stage a model to come over to your house, and technically that wouldn't be cheating, but the focus of the objective of this week's challenge was to get you to look around to take a look at what's there already and find those stories and capture them. So that was the point. So, and that goes for people, objects, whatever. So great, good shot, good expression. It's so very tough to take pictures of babies. Shooting babies is pretty morbid. But when you get the right expression, you get them to smile, you get their eyes open, man, that's a winner of a shot. And it looks like you almost nailed it. It's a little fuzzy. Just a little bit. I wish I could zoom in a little bit more on this. What were you at here? 1/30th. I wonder, were you on the tripod or were you handheld? Here's a tip for if your photos are coming out, this is for everybody, for if your photos are coming out too blurry. Oh right, I was going to reach for my camera and show it, but it's shooting the video. Okay, so let's say you're shooting at a focal length of 50 millimeter. What you should set your shutter speed at should then be at least 50 or above if you're shooting handheld, because that's the quick and dirty method of coming up with your minimum shutter speed. What is your focal length? So if you're shooting with a 100 mm lens, your shutter speed should be 100, 1/100 or faster. So if you're shooting at 1/30, your focal length better be 30 mil. If you're handheld, if it's not, if you're shooting at, what were you shooting at anyways? 30, go figure, stupid me. But this is still a good tip to have. So for, you're shooting at 31 mil, so yeah, technically that is good. It's still a slow shutter speed, so even at, when it gets down to 1/30, when it gets below 1/50, that's usually when I try to stabilize myself by using either a monopod or tripod or something of that nature. But when you're trying to come up with, when you're shooting handheld and you're trying to come up with your shutter speed, it should be at least what your focal length is, because that way it has to do with the mechanics of the camera. I couldn't even really do a good job of describing it, but that's just the rule of thumb that people go by, so that you avoid your movement, your body movement and your hand movement shaking the camera during the shot. So you don't move the camera enough to get motion blur. So if you're getting too much motion blur when you're shooting handheld, check to see that you're setting your shutter speed at the right setting. How are we doing for time here? Okay, good. So it doesn't look like you had that problem here, but it may have been that that you were moving around a little bit. Or maybe he was moving. That's the other thing. If you're going to be shooting any kind of subject that's moving quickly at all, babies move quickly, animals move quickly, NASCAR cars, move quickly. These three things always you have to shoot with a fast shutter speed, and 1/30 just wouldn't really cut it. Honestly, if I'm ever shooting even people, even portraits for when they're supposed to be standing still, I don't. They always may move. And you don't want to be shooting at too slow a shutter speed so that it'll compromise the photo by making it blurry. So whenever just shooting people, period, I try to always shoot, especially with candid shots, try to shoot a little faster. So either 1/50, 1/100 would even be better. So the higher you can get it, the better. Understandable, you're probably dealing with daylight as well, so you're just trying to get that proper exposure. So maybe you're trying to compensate. But if it's a matter of compensating to get that perfect exposure, then get yourself a monopod or a tripod, or even just blocking your elbows onto a table or stabilizing somehow so that you can avoid blurriness. Because otherwise, this would have been, if you had his face here, like a nice clear focus. Like I said, it just looks a little bit too blurry to be a perfect shot, but otherwise I like it. You got the light capturing in his eyes from the window. I love eye light, love it so very, very much. And I really want that sweater. I wonder if it's my size. All right, playing with light. Dude, good. Wow, awesome. I need to talk to you about, where you got the idea for this, because you hinted at this earlier when I talked to you. But now that I'm seeing it, wow, dude, okay. What do I think of this? I love the light. I love the light streaks. That's fantastic. What are we seeing behind it? So, obviously this is either shooting either off of your TV, off of a screen, or reflecting off of another surface, or something along those lines. But what are we seeing beyond it? I like how we start to see a little bit more of the room over here, but then we lose it over here. I think that there should be something, if there's going to be something behind it, make sure, if there's going to be something in your background, make sure it's something meaningful. Make sure it's something that's going to add to the image. So otherwise, I really dig this design. This is really cool. This would look awesome if you could get it just on black. That would look amazing. But if you could go like one step beyond that and get a wicked ass background back there, if you could pose someone in the background right in the center of that, man, that'd be amazing. All right, cool. Another light picture. Dig it. Okay, great. Again, we're seeing some awesome color. Awesome. This is a great image right here. But what are we seeing behind it? This is amazing color. I love how you captured this. I've got to talk to you about how this was done, where you came up with this idea. But this is, what else is going on behind that? Things like, this is just becoming distracting up here. But if you could kind of stage someone to be, in the background a little bit, but it's a really good idea. Awesome. This is an example of, okay, this image is noisy. I don't care. A lot of people, a lot of photographers, and I'll even admit, I stress out about noise in my images. Noise is something to worry about, in particular if you're delivering photos to a client. I will try to never ever give a client a really noisy image. I will try as hard as I can to avoid that. But if you're taking a photo for your own personal collection, or you're just trying to capture a moment, or if it's not a really paid shoot, even if it's a paid shoot, I won't mind a little bit of noise. A little bit of noise isn't a deal breaker. It's not that big a deal. It's part of the image. It's kind of like film grain. No one really cares about film grain. That's a style. That's part of the image itself. It's kind of like how freckles are a part of a person. I don't stress about removing freckles in someone's photos unless they really have a problem with it. But so noise in the image, if it means getting the proper exposure, getting the proper settings to get the shot done, then go for it. Is that I don't, because otherwise, if you had to lose the image by dropping your ISO, then you may not get the right exposure, and the image it will fail anyways. So I'd rather it be flawed in the sense that it has extra noise, but it's properly exposed, and you've got the right shutter speed set, and you've got everything else on your camera set. So I'm perfectly okay with that. If this is a candid shot, I love this candid shot. I would love to see more of her eyes. I love that you've got all this nice sharp focus here. I'd love to see more of her eyes and more of her hands. If this left hand with the phone had been a little bit higher, this right hand looks a little disembodied. I know that if it's a candid shot, you don't really you may hesitate to tell the person, even when you're taking a candid shot, sorry, can you do this? Can you move your hand this way? Can you pose it? You don't want to take it too many steps into, okay, now you're just, deliberately posing the person for the photo. But even when taking candid shots, I will ask the person every once in a while, if it just means a little bit of a difference, like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm taking your picture. Can you can you move your hand just this way? Perfect. Leave it at one or two little things like that, one or two little commands, and that'd be great. Because I love her smile. It's really tough grabbing candid shots of people, especially there are very few family members that I have that will sit still to get their shots taken like this. You have to sneak attack them. So usually that is very tough to get them in the right pose. But otherwise, I love the expression. I love that you caught her, where she's just chilling. You caught her in a moment where she's perfectly content. I'm wondering, did you ask her to turn to the camera and smile though? Because I'm a big fan of, it looks like she's in the middle of something, checking her email, here we have a mom just taking a pause, taking a break. Capture that moment. Don't take them out of it. So I'm not saying that's what you did, but if you're ever taking photos of a person, I try to. I'm going to say the complete opposite of what I just said. If you're trying to pose them, then pose them. If you're trying to capture them as they are, or just trying to capture a moment that they're in, be a ninja and just take the shot. Don't say, "Hey, cheese," and don't take them out of the moment. So know what you're going for. Either you're trying to take a candid photo of the moment and you're just trying to be as unobtrusive as possible, or you're trying to get a nice photo of them, looking at the camera and something casual, but still something where you're getting a pose out of them. This looks like somewhere in between, but otherwise, otherwise, her head. If I were to go into more nitpicking, like her head is more disembodied, may not be totally the right angle, but again, that goes more into posing. If you weren't gonna pose her, if you just again wanted to capture her like this, I love that she's looking over the shoulder. Maybe I would have given it more room back this way. I would have backed up maybe just a little bit more. You don't want to lose it too much, because then you risk, getting close and intimate with her expression here. Okay, that's what I got. Mr. Chairman, chair cat of the board. How many shots of pets am I going to see today? All right, it's a shot of a cat. It's in focus. Looks like it's properly exposed. Technically it's all there. And you got a picture of the cat actually looking at you. Cats usually don't do that for me. Let's see. Well, what can we talk about this here? Again, okay, I'm guessing that you probably had the camera stabilized somewhere because 1/4 for shutter speed. Wow. I'm gonna put out a video on how to choose the right camera settings in this upcoming week, because how to know how to have an idea, at least instantly, an idea of what your shutter speed, aperture, and ISO should be set at. As soon as you walk into a room, as soon as you take in your environment and you see the frame that you're going to be shooting for, what should your settings be, and to be able to know what happens when you adjust them. So, if your shot is too blurry, okay, how do you adjust it but get the same exposure? If your shot is too dark, which of these 3 settings do you adjust? It's very simple information to go over, and I'm not saying that you don't know this. Actually, I've been over this with Bang before, but I have heard from other people in the challenge who would love to hear that information. So that is a video that I will come up with this week. Because in this instance, again, if you're ever shooting a baby or an animal or people in general, if this cat looks like he stayed still, but if he was going to move at all, then that shot would have been tray blurry. So I would have upped that shutter speed a little bit more, and you would have had to adjust, and so bump your ISO up a little bit more. But you're at 200, so you could have afforded to. Take a faster shutter angle. 'Tis a fine picture of a cat. I'll say that. And that's it for all of yours. Is that all of them? I think it must be. Yeah, great. Awesome. Super. Thank you very much, Bang, for your submissions. I'm looking forward to seeing what you come up with next week as well. Yeah, thanks for sticking with it. Peace.